Hey, thanks for checking out Mad Minds TV. This week's study, organizational culture. 9 scholarly papers reviewed, and I gravitated towards a paper called Happy Objects at Work, The Circulation of Happiness. The paper was published in 2020, and it was written by Caroline Hunter. The paper is fantastic, and interviewed 19 people at a marketing company to get the data. The reason why I gravitated towards this paper because it made me ask the question, whose responsibility is it to create or maintain a happy workplace, managers and leaders, or the people that work in that environment? Paper also asked the question, what does happiness do? There's a lot to unpack here, but before we get to the nuts and bolts, I got to provide 2 definitions. First definition is going to be on emotional labor. The second is going to be on emotional display rules, and I'm paraphrasing from here. Emotional labor, the amount of energy needed to maintain social and emotional control in a work environment or environment in general. Emotional display rules, when, where, and how emotions can be displayed in a culture and environment. And this is something you see every day where people talk about PDA, which is public display of affection. Paper starts off by going over 4 types of emotional labors. First, presentational, which is socialized feel. Second, philanthropic, which is emotions directed at others. Third, perspective, which is feelings about environment and culture. Fourth is pecuniary, which is feelings about customer interactions. Then the paper highlights how assumptions can be made based off smiley faces. And this means just because people are smiling and saying living the dream doesn't mean they're happy with the environment and the culture that they're actually in. Next, the paper talks about emotions and how emotions have different intensities, and those different intensities can affect emotional labor. Then it highlights how emotions dictate where energy flows, but because emotions can create judgment, organizations may create their own emotional display rules to regulate how employees show emotion inside and outside the workplace. The paper also highlights the themes of the survey, which are employee identity, emotions, materiality, and movement through space, as well as sexual humor. This paper also has a pretty funny story about sexual humor as well. Lastly, it goes on to answer the question, what does happiness do? It regulates professional relationships by maintaining or creating emotional display rules to balance out emotional labor. However, there's so much more to unpack in this paper. I definitely recommend reading this paper if you want to maintain or create a happier workplace for you and the people that work with you. I'd also ask you to please read this paper and let me know if you interpreted it differently than I. As always, stay mad, be well, take care, and I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.